Book of Nick newsletter, The Aristocracy of Pull, 9th of August 2011. There is no free market. There has not been anything resembling a free market since the turn of the 20th century, before the creation of our central bank, the private, but publicly protected, Federal Reserve, which stripped the element of free choice away from the most essential vehicle of commerce, money. That was 1913. Since then, the dollar has lost 96% of its purchasing power. In addition, a gigantic federal government, entitlements, and a handful of wars have pushed our debt to around $14.6 trillion and growing exponentially. To illustrate this point, just take a look at how the market is affected whenever a government official opens their mouth. During Ben Bernanke's April 26th press conference, for example, silver price increased over $2 and gold increased more than $20 before his statement was even over. And yesterday, the reaction to Obama's statement defending the U.S. dollar despite Standard & Poor's downgrade was overwhelmingly negative, and we saw the market plunge several hundred points after he spoke, helping him to move the market down a total of 634 points for the day. We've also just seen an overnight high for gold, $1,780.50. This is a result of the rising aristocracy of pull, a term coined by Ayn Rand in her novel Atlas Shrugged to describe those who use coercion to achieve their ends. The solution for this aristocracy is always a new law, or a new tax, or some kind of control. If it ever occurs to them that government laws and taxations are the problem, not the solution, they never reveal it. They can't admit that people are not as productive if the more they produced, the more is taken from them by force. They can't admit that extending unemployment benefits gives people a direct monetary incentive to not seek employment. They can't admit that restrictions on entering specialized fields drives up the prices for consumers, i.e., medical costs are driven up because doctors spend 10 years of their life and rack up $500,000 in debt to obtain their government permission to practice medicine. If they were to admit these things, then the foundation on which their careers rest will be ripped out from under them, and the hollow building that once stood tall crumbles to dust. Their life's work will be revealed for all to see as theater. This is why the Obamas and Bernankes of the world will try to maintain the illusion of government's legitimacy at all costs. This is why if you ask Ben Bernanke a direct question like, "Is gold money?" he has no choice but to maintain the illusion with a direct lie. No. And so the show will go on and on until people realize that it is a show and not real life. The U.S. economy consists of millions and millions of individuals making hundreds of choices each day with regards to who they associate with, what they do, where they go, and how they spend their money. To think that some guys in Washington know where and how all those millions of people ought to spend their money, much less control that process, is ludicrous. It takes a peculiar kind of arrogance for someone to think that it is appropriate to make any kind of choice for another person, especially a total stranger. It's hard enough for me, one guy, to decide what to have for breakfast in the morning. The aristocracy of pull deal in favors. They deal in laws. They deal in coercion. What they do not deal in is freedom. Only free markets nurture free minds. And as long as the current power structure remains unchanged, the dollar will be further devalued, the world's debt will increase, gold and silver prices will increase, and wealth will continue to be wiped out as those in power continue to loot it from those who are not in power. Thanks and peace. Nick Foley.